What's up, everybody? This is my first video during the pandemic under quarantine. So I just want to give a quick message to everyone that I hope you're all safe. Hope you're all healthy. Hopefully you're with a loved one and overall you're just taking care of yourself. But no better time to be talking about photo books. I hope you've all come to the realization during this time that books are just such a huge way for yourself to be distracted, to entertain yourself, to use it as a form of escapism, inform yourself. But most importantly for me, photo books are just a big draw of inspiration. I love looking through a body of work from a photographer, especially being a photographer myself. It just gives me this great glimpse of what a photographer is thinking, what they were going through, how they came to the realization that now they had this body of work that they want to put together into a book. But this video specifically, I want to talk about my personal favorite monograph that I have in my collection, and it is Steve McCurry, A Life in Pictures by Bonnie McCurry. And this is actually Steve McCurry's biggest and most comprehensive volume. So this is his biggest photography book he has published. But what makes this monograph so unique and I think so interesting is the fact that it's narrated by his sister. Very often do you find photography books or monographs that have a lot of words, that are very storytelling based, that they're giving you such a humanistic portrayal of what it's like to be the sister of someone who is an extensive and prolific photographer and what he went through as a photographer, going through some of these critical situations, these challenges, capturing moments that are very difficult to capture and are very life-threatening, whether it's wars, whether it's natural disasters, whether you're hiding yourself for 30 days disguised as a refugee. Another factor that makes this one of my favorite monographs that I own is just the sheer size and quality of this book. When I open it, you're gonna see the quality of these images and how they're printed. It's just beautiful, beautiful work. And I hope to one day have a photo book that looks this gorgeous. And also it's the size, right? I mean, it's 10 by 13, it's huge. And you have 350 images that fill the book. It's mind-blowing, honestly, to hold it in your hands and be able to open it. So it's definitely a coffee table book, something you have to really sit down with. You can't just pop it up and take it with you on the road very easily. It's pretty big. So let's open it up inside. Let me show you some of my favorite images, what they mean to me, and hopefully we can have some quarantine time bonding right now. So again, here's the cover, Steve McCurry, A Life in Pictures by Bonnie McCurry. I personally love the cover. I think it's so striking. I think the tones and the colors are so rich, and it just invites you in with this candid portrait of this woman and maybe her son or her nephew. We don't really know, we just have to interpret. And it invites you in. I really, really love the cover. It's one of the favorites in the book, actually. So let's open it up. Again, it's 10 by 13, so it's a very big book, and that's what makes this, again, one of my favorites. You have a couple simple images that span both pages, which I really love. Just these wide features, really beautiful work. And then you have Steve McCurry, A Life in Pictures, Bonnie McCurry, and one of my favorites as well, right in the beginning. So let me skip through a little bit because I don't want to show you every single photo. That'd probably be plagiarism. So again, this book is narrated by his sister, so she's gonna walk you through, before you get even into his photography journey and extensive catalog, who he is as a person, who he was when he was a kid, how he grew up, what led him to potentially become a photographer. You have throughout the book some collections and notes and drawings and art pieces of Steve McCurry that I personally really think it brings again a insight portrayal, humanistic portrayal, a family portrayal of Steve McCurry, which I really love. The book is divided in many different ways, but you essentially go from beginning to end. So Steve McCurry, who he was as a kid, and how he got into photography, to all the way who he is now as a historic, prolific photographer. So in the first few chapters, you go through his influences, which were Robert Frank, Henry Cartier-Bresson, again, some family pictures and notes. And this is one of my favorite photos of the book. It took me a while to break it down, but this is the reason I love photography, is when you can actually say something without saying anything at all. And this image particularly, I think it does that beautifully, which is you have this homeless person sitting and sleeping on the street, right, ironically, by a furniture store. And I think the viewer just gets this ironic smack of reality and what you've seen right away in this image, and it speaks to me a lot. I think this is just an amazing image. Here's another one of my personal favorites, an incredible portrait of this young man in Afghanistan, Kunar province. This is in 1980. This portrait is just stunning. The quality, the size, the framing, the candid pose, it's just beautiful. Here's another one of my favorites right next, and this is in Pakistan. It just looks like something that would be in a museum. Like automatically, like this looks like a hieroglyph to me. Like if I were to transport in the future 200 years, this would show me what life was like in the 1980s in Pakistan. So Steve McCurry, if you don't know, he's very well known for his work in Asia and in the Arabic countries. So Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran. He's done a lot of incredible journalistic work that a lot of people never had access to up until this point in the 1980s. Look at this stunning 2-page photo, just beautiful, beautiful work. I just love how you get this huge sense of depth and you just transport it to this moment. Another one of my personal favorites. It just looks like a postcard. It looks like something that you would know would go on National Geographic. I think it's just so much depth to this photo. If I were someone in 1990 and I had never before seen Afghanistan and I were to see this image, I would have a different preconceived notion of Afghanistan, whether I was listening to the news or the media, and I saw this, I would want to go there immediately. Like, this is just beautiful. This is like, look at this. Just look at this. This is what makes this book worth it. It's the 2-page prints. They're just gorgeous. The size of them, the color, the depth. It's like you have a personal art print within the book. Again, the size. I keep reiterating it, but it's the size that makes this book so unique. That you have these beautiful prints. It's like you have a personal art collection from Steve McCurry by owning this monograph. This next one is one of my favorites because I've been to Cuba twice now, and I've actually stayed on this street, one street down to the left. So I know this neighborhood pretty well. I have an Airbnb family that I always go to now, that they're like my second family. So I love this image because it just transports me back to a place that I truly love, which is Cuba. Show these real quickly only because I think what makes Steve McCurry, or has made Steve McCurry successful, and he kind of explains it as he's being interviewed by Bonnie, is he has this certain look or characteristic that allows him to blend in and kind of morph himself into different cultures or different ethnicities. Not to say he doesn't look white, because he is white, but I can relate to that. When I grow my beard, sometimes people think that I'm Arabic or Middle Eastern, or when I have my hair short, sometimes they think I'm European, or I'm obviously Colombian, so I have a, Latin American look. So I can see how that has benefited him because I've experienced those kind of, just by people telling me that I look a certain way. I think here if you were to know no different, you would think, yeah, he's the most light-skinned person there, but he almost blends in pretty well. He grew his beard out, he has a turban on, and he's just immersing himself in the culture, and I think that's what has allowed him to be so successful. He explains that when he goes to take an image, he's not there to just capture this moment. He's trying to immerse himself and become friends with the locals and see how they live, see their traditions, and respect their culture. And I think that's something I took a lot from this book. As you can see right here, the different looks of Steve McCurry throughout the years. Look at this, just stunning 2-page print, beautiful, beautiful print, a very just beautiful image. Another one in Cuba. I stayed right there, so my Airbnb was just right down the street, across the corner. It's crazy. So I hope you enjoyed this quick glimpse at Steve McCurry, A Life in Pictures by Bonnie McCurry. It's an incredible monograph, one that I recommend you own in your personal collection, especially if you're a documentary photographer or you're an aspiring photojournalist. It's just a beautiful, beautiful monograph. I mean, it's the size. When you open those pages, it feels like you have a personal art collection from Steve McCurry. You can maybe relate it to whether you have a girlfriend or a wife or a husband or someone in your life that cares deeply about you and is worried about you when you're going off to these assignments. So again, I love this book. It's one of my favorites. I highly recommend you pick it up if you can. Order it on Amazon. I have a link below for you to check it out on Amazon. Hopefully you're all getting through this quarantine. Pick up some photo books. They'll definitely help you get through these moments. Photo books are just a great way to support a photographer, and also keep these moments alive, and keep inspiration flowing, because when I look at some of these images and from other books as well, I just want to go there and I just want to experience it for myself and bring my own perspective to images that I'm going to capture and meet the locals and immerse myself in culture. It's just a undescribable experience. So having a photo book to draw inspiration from, I think there's no value in that. And there's so many photo books that I wish I could personally have in my collection that are just so hard to find, or they're very expensive because they're so limited in their prints at this moment. But this one isn't. And I hope you're all getting through this pandemic. You're all making it through. You're staying mentally sane and healthy, drinking a lot of water, reading some books. Let me know what you're doing to get through these moments in the comment section below. And thank you for watching. Take care. Also, if you're watching this video and you want to support, I have some prints for sale right now just to get me through these times, because I've lost all my assignments in the near future because of the pandemic. So I'll have some prints for sale. Just check them out, share them with a friend if you don't mind. Thank you.